So, in a weekend where there is no shortage to impactful college football games, the game I want to focus on is actually Oklahoma against Iowa State because there are intriguing talking points to go along with it. Oklahoma coming off of a loss and needing a major statement game against Iowa State, taking on paper at least, the best defense they've played all year. On the flip side, Iowa State has not had the season many anticipated, and they're looking at this game as an opportunity to make a massive statement. All the while, you have an incredibly talented true freshman quarterback in Caleb Williams taking on a defensive scheme we don't see too often in Iowa State's 3-3-5. So there's a lot for us to break down. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe we will see the Sooners attempt to make a massive statement game this weekend against the Cyclones? And let me know what you are thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. I'm on my push to 10,000 subscribers, and I'd love to have you along. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, though they may seem small, are really huge to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's start talking about this. And first and foremost, this is a big game for what it means for both programs. Before we jump into the schematics, we're looking at a situation where both of these programs are uniquely positioned to get a statement win out of this game. When we look at it from Oklahoma's point of view, they're coming off of their only loss of the season to a solid Baylor squad. That game was going to be so impactful because it was Oklahoma's first ranked game of the season, and not only that, it was after they came off of a bye week. Oklahoma has major injuries on the defensive side of the football, and that's a big reason as to why the Sooners are ranked 71st in the nation in total defense, is because of the injuries they've experienced not only along the defensive front, where they've gotten some of those guys back, but in the secondary as well. Those injuries have plagued them. So coming off of a bye playing Baylor was a game that many people were keyed in on. But now, after the Sooners dropped that game to a very solid Baylor squad, it is incredibly important for the Sooners to have a bounce-back game against Iowa State. Because right now, winning out is the most important thing for the Sooners, but winning out convincingly matters even more. And in life and in football, one of two things happens when you face adversity. You either rise to the occasion or you learn a lot about yourself. And so this is an opportunity for the Oklahoma Sooners to rise to that adversity because they do have a very talented squad. On the flip side, you have Matt Campbell and Iowa State, a team that many were expecting big things out of this year, especially when you looked around the landscape of the Big 12. Outside of Oklahoma, nobody had anywhere close to the continuity that Iowa State was able to bring back. From coaching to talent, they're walking into this game with the season that is not indicative of what they wanted. And in fact, they're looking at this game as a major opportunity to make waves as the season is heading to its end. Iowa State has phenomenally talented playmakers in Brock Purdy, Hutchinson, Breece Hall, Rose, but they have not been able to get a cohesive season together to this point and have dropped games that have quite frankly left you scratching your head. Iowa State has been a tale of two teams all season. You get the Iowa State that really responded well against Oklahoma State, and then you get the Iowa State against Texas Tech, a game that they easily should have handled, but were just unable to do so. And that's the most interesting thing about this, and that moves us into the schematics of this. Because when we look at how Iowa State has been given trouble this year, it's when you disrupt their run game. The offense for Iowa State runs through Breece Hall, and Breece Hall is one of the top backs in America, but we have to understand that he has an incredibly high usage rate. So we know Iowa State is going to do everything they can to get the ball in his hands. Whether that be in the rushing attack or in the passing attack, we'll talk about that in a bit. So the first thing for the Oklahoma Sooners is you have got to eliminate the rush, or at least try and get the rushing attack off of where it's comfortable. If you're able to mitigate Iowa State's rush, you're going to be able to affect the flow of this game with much more continuity than if you aren't. Brock Purdy, even though he is a talented quarterback, can be his own worst enemy. Purdy at his base is a gunslinging quarterback, but Iowa State has tried to reel him back in because as much as he has the ability to make the throw, all too often that throw turns into an interception. And Campbell and company have really tried to reel that back in to allow Iowa State's offense to be on the field longer and not have plays that results in turnovers. Trying to trade in chunk plays for established drives, which is commendable for sure. The flip side of that is if Oklahoma is able to mitigate the running game, they're going to have a way higher opportunity to win this game. Because if they can't get the running game going, then the whole philosophy for Iowa State almost falls flat on its face. But that's much easier said than done, because that's every team's focus when they play Iowa State: eliminate the run. But one of the things I said earlier when I said the offense runs through Breece Hall, it's one thing Oklahoma already knows, but it's really interesting to see. When you're talking about how to defend Iowa State, you need to understand that the majority of the offense, even though it runs through Breece Hall, if we're expanding to the entirety offense, it runs through 3 players. In the receiving game, Hutchinson, Kolar, and Breece Hall by far have the majority of targets. In fact, Hutchinson leads the team in 68 targets. Second is Kolar with 41. Third is Hall with 31, and the next closest wide receiver is Jalen Noel with 24. After that, a tight end comes in with 19, and then we have another wide receiver with 15. I bring this to you because it shows that the majority of Iowa State's offense is running through 3 individuals. Whether that be Charlie Kolar, which, by the way, if you want to play a fun game this weekend, take a drink every time they mention that Kolar grew up in Norman, see how that gets you. But the offense runs through 3 individuals primarily: Kolar, Hutchinson, and Breece Hall. So eliminating Breece Hall is going to do a massive chunk in eliminating what this offense wants to do. Because the numbers I just gave you were the numbers in the passing game, and even then, in the passing game, Breece Hall is the team's 3rd option. So of course he's the primary guy rushing the ball. He has over 1,000 yards, and he gets by far and about the majority of carries, but he's also 3rd in the team in reception. So that shows just how much this offense relies on that one individual. Mitigating him in any way can cause waves around this offense. On the flip side, though, what about Oklahoma's offense taking on Iowa State's defense? Because that's when we're starting to talk about best on best. And this is where I'm really intrigued. I cannot wait to see how Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley go about trying to attack this 3-3-5 that Iowa State runs. Because even though when you look at the 3-3-5, conventional wisdom says this is going to be much easier to run against, Iowa State is able to confuse offensive lines by being able to send pressure from various locations and keeping offenses on their toes. However, there has been one thing that's given Iowa State some trouble, and that is a mobile quarterback. The good news for Oklahoma is Iowa State has not played a quarterback even close to the athleticism that Caleb Williams has. And if he is able to start breaking off some runs early in this game, that can open up things. Because I don't expect this to be a singular game. And what I mean when I say that is I don't expect for this to be a game where if Oklahoma has success running the ball early, that success is going to singularly carry over. Oklahoma will need to continue adjusting their points of attack, whether that be using the rushing attack to open up the pass or using the conventional rushing attack to open up lanes for your quarterback who can really affect this game. All things are going to be intertwined. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and in this game in particular, those actions are going to come back later in the game. If Caleb Williams is able to establish the run, he can get those safeties, those linebackers creeping forward a bit and allow for his receivers to be able to capitalize on downfield shots. And that's exactly what I mean when I say I don't think the key to this game is any one thing singularly. It's being able to bounce off of what the defense gives you. If you're able to affect the defense running the ball early, make sure you're able to affect them passing the ball later. Make them pay for adjusting to stop your run. And Oklahoma certainly has the talent to do so. I'm just hyper interested in how a true freshman quarterback is going to handle this 3-3-5. I'm not expecting for Iowa State to just completely shut down Caleb Williams. He is a phenomenal athlete, but I am interested to see a true freshman go through the process of understanding of how to attack this defense on a play-by-play basis. And this is where we're going to get into an awesome battle of schematics. Lincoln Riley trying to assist his quarterback, and Campbell doing everything he can to allow his defense to stand stout. This is, on paper, the best defense Oklahoma has played. And Oklahoma surely understands that they need a statement win against Iowa State, because winning this game is going to be the biggest thing overall, but you would love to do so in a convincing fashion. And luckily for Oklahoma, your best thing, your offense, is going to be what's going up against their best, their defense. Because on the flip side, even though Iowa State's offense has success, it primarily runs through 3 individuals. And I think even though Oklahoma has not had the year year defensively, or even close to the year defensively they want, with the 71st overall total defense in the nation, you do have athletes to be able to mitigate some of what Iowa State wants. But just remember, in football, everything is about assumptions. You assume one thing's going to happen just so something else can happen, and that's exactly why the games are ultimately played on Saturday. I cannot wait to watch this game because of what it means. So hop down in the comments below. Let me know what you're expecting from this game. Let me know what you're looking forward to. That's it. See ya.